Welcome to Total Money Management, going over the week that was, ending August 22. How are we, gents?
What are you laughing at?
I don't know. I feel like I butchered it.
That was a bit of a butchered start, but that's
was.
okay.
It's Friday.
Yeah.
It's Friday, mate. It's Friday. I'm here. Look, the bloody couple of shout-outs, right? Couple of shout-outs because
All right, go on.
the football, the best two games of football all year, rugby league, the real football, are on at the moment, and I'm in here with you blokes.
Well,
Which is, it's a trade-off. But a couple of shout-outs. One to Chris in Dubbo, Bulldogs over Storm. I doubt he'll win, but anyway, best of luck, buddy. And the other one is the Panthers-Raiders game. I don't know if Leo listens anymore. Leo in Sydney. He's a Raiders boy. And I do hope the Raiders beat the Panthers because I hate the Panthers.
I don't like the Panthers either.
Nah.
They've been too good for too long.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. And I hate the Storm too because they always just like do really well.
Yeah. You want the underdogs.
Yeah, like the Broncos.
And you've brought us a bit of a gift today, Stephen.
It's obviously been a good week.
It's
in
been
the market.
Mate, the Doritos.
Steve's
right?
in the money.
Another
the options.
Yep,
Steve,
there you go.
I've got one question. Did you pay full price for those Doritos?
Absolutely not. Now, do you want a story?
Go on.
Ella Umbrella on the socials. She said the wine is great.
Yeah.
Right? And this week, Ella, we'll just let you know. Pepper
We're
Jack Shiraz. Sponsored
Jack.
by The Rare Find.
We're not actually sponsored by them.
Yeah, I haven't got my glasses.
We're definitely not.
Did you pay for this?
No, I was at an event the other day, and the guy that brews Pepper Jack wine, and I forget your name.
Mate,
He brews it.
you don't brew
What,
wine.
well, you know what I mean. How do you make wine? What's it called?
God, Jesus. Cut that, Dan. God, cut that out, Dan. Oh,
But the guy that
Bloody
maybe he owns it, but he was giving a speech about Pepper Jack, and we all got a free couple of bottles after. So thank you.
Right. And it's expensive because it came in a box.
It did come in a box.
Yep. So, anyway, so Ella Umbrella said the podcast is great, thinks the wine is fantastic, and if you bought Steve some Doritos, he may give up some more trade secrets.
Well, last week was a bit of a hit with the tangent that you went on soothingly about
I'm glad you didn't say rant.
Yeah, not this time, but it was great. So I'm hoping to get some more out of
There
you.
you go.
Keep drinking this wine.
And just to let you know, Ella, $2.50 at Woolies. Tell me that is not a bargain for Dorito corn chips. I bought two. I bought two packets.
Doritos over inflation, eh? What have we got this week, Tom?
Mate.
Is the Ukraine war over? The increasing role of government and bubble trouble.
Bubble trouble.
Something different.
Yeah.
So China, EVs,
Thanks, Tom.
and bubbles.
Well, I thought Ukraine might be coming to an end, but then apparently this morning, Zelensky's made a U-turn or something like that.
Oh, no,
on the
well,
deal. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, they Putin and Trump got together, right, and they're all lovey-dovey. But this morning, Friday morning, Trump came out and said, they should have given Ukraine more weapons at the start to not necessarily defeat Russia, but to put Russia off. There was the argument was when the war started, Biden was very concerned, or the Biden administration were concerned that if they sort of repelled Russia, then it might really get out of control, and that Russia may use nuclear weapons, and so they were sort of feeding Ukraine enough weapons to defend themselves without making any sort of headway. So Trump was, as you know, Trump was like, oh, well, Zelensky's got to hand over the land and, do what Putin says. Yeah. Well, now he's having a bit of a U-turn on that and saying, well, maybe we should arm up Zelensky. And Zelensky has said to them, listen, we'll buy $100 billion worth of weapons from the US and Europe will pay for it. Right? Which is what Trump wants. Right, because Trump is saying, we'll sell you the aeroplanes and the weapons and all that sort of stuff, but we got to sell it to somebody who can pay for it, and the Ukrainians sure as shit can't pay for it. So, you guys in Europe need to pay for it. Because quite rightly, Europe have done nothing for 20 years. They've run down their military, and, they couldn't knock off an under-8s baseball team. Right? Like there's two blokes with the rubber bands, right? Like they've just demilitarised.
Yep.
And now it's come back to bite them on the bum 20 years later. But what they want to do is they always expect the US to roll in and fix it. And it's like, well, hang on, you guys, like we don't care if Europe gets taken over by Russia. We're in America. So
I was hoping that Europe would have to supply the arms as well, so the stocks keep rising because they're having a stellar run.
But there is that point of it too,
Yeah.
right? Germany was like, no. Okay, we're going to spend 5% of GDP,
and then
right?
They've just gone through the roof.
Exactly, because Trump said, you guys have got to step up to the plate. And once they actually, what they were doing to start with was sort of hedging, it was like, we'll position it so we don't have to do anything, right? Well, Trump didn't buy that, right? And it's the same with trade. Trump is saying, hey, I'm not moving on trade. You guys can bitch and whinge all you like. You want to go and be friends with China? Okay, off you go. Best of luck. Right?
Well,
America's still the best market.
China hasn't really been in the media for a little while now, and they're just probably sat there watching all this stuff go on, just laughing.
They're due.
No, don't get the mistake there. China's not laughing by a long way, and the reason why is because their economy is absolutely dependent on the United States. Right. So if you've got, as we talked about, if you can make 50 million cars and you're exporting 10 million, and the United States says, listen, stick your cars, we don't want them. Europe is now saying, well, listen, we can't have you overrunning our car industry. Brazil is saying the same thing. Russia is saying the same thing. So the problem the Chinese government's got is they're looking at it going, oh man, we've got 10 million, we've got 10 million people who would become unemployed if the Americans and everybody else said, listen, we don't want your cars.
Yeah,
and I can tell you that's what's coming. That's what's going on, right? The Japanese had the same problem, right? As we said, the Americans went to Japan and said, listen, you guys, you can't stop exporting. You've got to stop exporting and start building some factories in America to supply the local market.
Yep.
And the Japanese were like, yep, righto. And so they did, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is Trump's not inviting Chinese into America.
But do you think the Trump-Putin conversation went well? I've just got an inkling that it didn't. Because usually he comes out of these things and he's just boasting and gross as he is. But he wasn't really. He was
It started strong. Then they weren't friends. Now they seem to be friends again.
No, I mean the conversation that they had this week, whenever it was.
Yeah, on Monday. Yeah, look, part of it is the difference is when you've got communist governments like Xi and Putin and what did Trump call him? The little fat guy in North Korea, Kim Jong-il.
He's probably listening, mate.
Yeah, we'll probably all be killed
Yeah, that'd be a nuke.
with a drone strike through my bedroom window. But the problem is for communist regimes, they don't really have to. They never concede anything, right? Because they look weak at the home front. So Putin is stuck because it's like, man, I started this war. I said we'd be knocking it over in a week. Here we are 3 years later. We still haven't taken any ground. I look like a goose. So he's trying to, get a win by playing hardball. Donald Trump is saying, well, I want the Nobel Peace Prize. So you guys have got to sort some shit out. So I get the gift, right? The Ukrainians are saying, listen, we don't want to give them anything. We hate their guts. Europe is going, oh God, can we get back to where we get cheap Russian oil and cheap Russian gas and stuff? But that's all past.
Well,
That's all.
I was going to say on that, what has been the impact of Russia effectively being cut off?
Well,
on their economy?
Yeah, the economy now is struggling. And the reason why, Tom, is because of the sanctions. Sanctions generally work pretty slow, right? It's not like you wake up next week and go, oh, Russia's economy's crashed, right? But they're now on, I think, sanctions package number 19 or something. So, but the Russian economy is definitely struggling, right? And that's why they're hitting the oil facilities, because what they're doing is they're hitting Russia's ability to earn foreign income so they can buy stuff, right? So the Russians say to the Chinese, listen, we'll take 5 million of those drones. And the Chinese go, cool, how are you going to pay us? And it's like, we'll give you some oil. And China's going, okay, but you got to put it through the back door, because if you come through the front door, we're not allowed to do that and we get sanctions, right? So there's all that sort of stuff. So Russia is sending oil to India, and India is then on selling it, right? That's why Trump's saying to India, listen, you guys, stop the bullshit with the Russian oil, because you're on selling it, right? And you're making a continuation of the war, when Trump is trying to get them to negotiate. And the only way you can do that is basically screw both of them to a point where they go, okay, listen, you got us. We'll sit down and figure something out. But they're not there yet. So, it's still going to continue for a while, I think. There might be a surprise breakthrough, but probably unlikely.
Well, I'm hooked to the screen at the minute. It's the drama.
Yeah, look, I can tell you geopolitics is fantastic, because it's heaps of cloak and dagger stuff, right? It's just, like, ooh, look, what's he going to say? Ooh, and then you got 30 scenarios of like, oh, what did Donald Trump mean when he said, X, Y, Z, right? And you get on Twitter, there's 48 million opinions, right, about what he's talking about and stuff like that.
48,000,001 now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And everyone else is incorrect.
All right, so let's...
Yeah, well, I'm an expert, right?
Steve Moriarty, the expert.
Bloody good drop, mate. It's a small bottle, though.
I know. Should have brought two.
There's a hole in the bottom.
Jesus, Tom, you've knocked a hole in yours already. Glass number 5. You driving home, mate?
This again. We had words at the start of this, right? Yeah. Absolute nuisance.
Righto, what else have we got? What's hot?
Well, PE ratios are extremely hot.
Yep, 846. That's good.
And we've covered that a million times, but it's back to that level now where it's getting a bit bubbly.
Absolutely.
A little bit bubbly.
A couple of things. Howard Marks came out with
I saw that.
Yeah, with a really, really good letter. He thinks we're in the early stages. So
Of what?
of a bubble.
Right, yeah.
So he's saying
there's going to be another melt up.
Well, he's saying it's a bubble, but think of a balloon, right? He's saying, you've sort of gone and it blows up a little bit. Well, what he's saying is that's the start of it getting bigger. I tend to think we're a little bit further into the bubble than he does.
It's felt bubbly for ages.
Yeah, it does. It does. I have to say, geez, it just looks... Warren Buffett has been selling stocks for...
11 straight quarters.
It's 11, is it? Yeah. When the guy who knows what he's talking about is selling a lot of stocks, that's when you start going, maybe he knows what's really going on.
Yeah, 11 straight quarters.
11 straight quarters.
We put it on Instagram if you had followers. Followers.
So that's nearly 3 years, right? 12 quarters is 3 years. So, you sort of look at it and go, man, that's... And he's not doing buybacks or anything like that. So that's usually a pretty good signal that things are getting pretty toppy. And I think I saw a tweet, I can't remember what the figure was, but he sold an absolute shitload of Bank of America stocks, which he has said is a lock, right? Like Apple, right? He's gone Bank of America. I think it's 1 out of, every 4 Americans banks with Bank of America or something. Like it's got a huge market, right?
Yep.
You'd tend to think, oh, well, it's cool. But Buffett's selling down big lumps. When Buffett sells down big lumps, what you know is he's not rebalancing. Well, let me put that differently.
He's taking the profit off.
He's really taken a lot of rebalancing rather than saying, I'll just knock off, 100 million. It's like, no, I'm selling, 35 billion. Yeah. It's like, okay.
He wants to double the amount of shares he holds when it falls.
Yeah. Well, yes, he will buy back into Bank of America, but I think what he's doing is saying there's no way it's not going to fall a lot.
Well, I hope he's around to buy back in, but who knows, eh?
Yeah. Well, he knocks off at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Greg Abel takes over at the end of the year.
No, around by. Around.
Yes, as in, I've got a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking, I think it was yesterday, I was thinking about that, thinking, you know what's going to happen? We're going to wake up one day and they're going to go, Warren Buffett's dead.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be what, like you think about it. We haven't heard from Buffett for a while. You know, so I reckon it'll be
We'll do a Warren Buffett dedicated episode.
yes, and drink red wine even though Warren's a
And,
teetotaler.
eat Maccas.
Wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And eat yeah, that's a good point, mate. We'll do a breakfast
And drink
bacon
Coca-Cola.
and egg McMuffin.
Well, other than that, the AI bigwigs, Sam Altman's come out and said it might be a bit bubbly as well. The last couple of weeks.
Yeah, read that bit. That is so funny. That is
All
so
of it
funny.
or the bottom
Well,
bit?
just the first bit.
Yes, but it's the cost of training new models that keeping OpenAI from turning a profit, he said. We're profitable on inference. If we didn't pay for training, we'd be a very profitable company.
Yep.
So they're training humans.
Well, no.
To look after
What
AI.
the training to train the AI model, you've got to access data, and it costs a lot of money, right? But my point being, that's like saying, you know, if I didn't have cancer, I'd be all right. Right? I know you hate that.
He's
Tom.
gone from
I know
one.
you hate that.
That's
Let me give you
rather
another.
grim.
Righto. If I didn't eat Doritos all the time, I'd be a lot more attractive, right? Or thinner. But the point being,
Or richer.
when a guy who, you know what Sam Altman's doing here? I know what he's doing here, and he's being a shithead. He's actually going to be able to say in 6 months, when the share price goes to, you know, the zero, he'll be able to say, "See, I told you it was a bubble." That's what I think he's doing, because Chat GPT 5.
Oh, he's got it.
I've been rehearsing, mate.
Not Chat GT3.
Yeah, I've been rehearsing in front of the mirror. It's been an abysmal failure. But Altman is now covering his ass by saying, "Yeah, I get that, but wait for number 6." So you know what I mean? Like,
Keep investing.
well, he's got to keep raising money,
Yeah.
right? And nobody's going to give him money if they go, "Sam, that thing was a real dud," right? But Sam's got to be able to say, "Mate, it's a bubble. You know, people are crazy. Listen, we got a genuine item here. They're just overpaying for it. That's what's going on." Right? And he's a bullshit artist.
Well, all the top
But other than that,
dogs are.
AI is probably pretty good. I think it's just overpriced. It's just like the internet, right? I was there. The internet was going to solve every problem in the world, and it didn't, right? The fact was it was great, but it was just overpriced.
Yeah, like pets.com being $1 billion.
Yeah. Absolutely. People buy, you know, when rare earths were in a bubble, every mining company suddenly had rare earths, right? And they were talking about it, right? In the internet, every man and his dog had a .com, right? And it's just what the thing we talked about on Wednesday night at the masterclass.
Yes.
Was the amount of fraud, and I did a social post on it today. There's a lot of scamming going on, right? And you get a lot of scans when there's a lot of money floating about, right? So that's why I say, you know, AI, NVIDIA and that sort of stuff, I'm not saying it's garbage. What I'm saying is, guys, if you got a PE ratio of 180, you're going to have to really outperform. And the reality is that you can't outperform with a PE of 180 forever, right? It just doesn't make logical sense, right? So at some point, it's got to plateau or it's got to decline.
Yeah.
There you go. There's
no disagreement there.
no, there was a bit of a rant.
Well, Tom loves AI, so
So long as you don't mention
Big AI guy.
yeah, so long as you don't mention property, I'm all right.
we haven't for a while.
No.
We've done well.
We will be mentioning a bit more crypto
Yes.
any week now.
Oh God,
We've just
moving
done
on.
a special.
I got a
So
special.
week.
I got a special.
Next
Anyone?
week.
Steve didn't want to join us, but that's okay.
I was ill that day.
We couldn't fit him in the room. Couldn't get two egos in.
Righto, what else have we got?
Well,
Oz economy.
a bit of it, and I told you so. So, want better productivity, keep wages rising. And we mentioned that when?
Mate.
Last week.
Mate, what can I say?
Ross
What can I
Gittins
say?
took credit for your work.
Well, I'm a man ahead of the game. This is a good drop, mate. I might have a bit more.
Just keep saying it.
Righto,
It's all good.
keep
Yeah,
talking, boys.
let's get him an
I'll
Uber.
pour, you talk.
Well,
Isn't a problem.
I'm struggling because all this is
Struggling?
screenshots of
Yeah.
news articles.
Inflation, mate. We can't afford the words now in the week
Yeah.
that was document. It's just pictures.
20-year annualized returns by asset class. We've got REITs obviously up there. We've got cash down at 1.2.
Everyone wants to laugh at the old guy.
You've done well.
Righto. What else we got? Nice drop, that
Yes,
rare
you-
fine Pepperjack Barossa.
Yeah,
What is
yes,
it? Barossa
yes.
Valley Shiraz.
Yes, Steve.
2023. All right.
ASX hit
Go on.
Oh, yeah. The
cracked
odds,
9K.
The
this week.
ASX.
Oh, well won.
Okay.
The
High
200.
fives.
You want to leap straight to the market?
Well, that's why we got Doritos.
Absolutely. And half price.
Celebratory.
All right, let's stop talking over each other now.
Okay. Righto, what do we got? Oz economy. Oh, God. We're just
Well,
rolling
let's
along.
talk
We got a
about-
productivity commission.
Let's talk about well one for a minute because that's had a good week.
Well, it did have a good week, but it's had a good couple of weeks, actually.
Good couple
You
of
know,
months.
from the bottom, it's up 78% from the bottom this year, from Liberation Day.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying
It's
you
a
get...
shame I
That's
started
why we-
before that day.
That's why we've got the Pepperjack Rare Find.
Yeah, we bought the box. But my point being, you know, volatility is generally bad. But if you know what you're doing, volatility is really good, right? So anyway, the Oz economy rolling along. Really, they're having a productivity round table. Everyone's, you know, there's so many bloody skeptical people on X. You know, like, oh, it's never going to do anything and they're not going to do anything. It's like, oh, well, why are they going to hold it, you dickhead? Of course they're going to do something. But they're just trying to massage it through at the moment, as I think I said last week, to keep control of the narrative.
Well, is it
Right?
true that Chalmers has come back? Maybe it's today, maybe it's a lie, where he said he wants to tax big business now. So wealthy older people and big business. That's his new thing.
Mate, Jim Chalmers says, I'd be surprised if he came out and said we're going to tax big business and old people.
Well, that's what I saw today, but it might be wrong.
No, they'll do it, but they won't announce it.
Yeah, right.
Right? Yeah, and that's what I mean. That the government, I mean, look, to be quite honest, it's really stupid because the government deficit is tiny. It is unbelievably tiny. Right? It's like 1% of GDP. That
Compared
would be
to America
That
being-
would be that would be me saying to you, Jacob, you're spending 1% of your income annually, right? It's just it's
Overspending 1%.
yeah, but it's nothing. It's nothing. Now the issue is though the government are trying to get productivity going to get growth going, right?
Yeah.
Because if I say to the government, hey, why don't you guys just like smash the deficit and spend heaps of money, that will be one way of getting growth. But the other way is to say, okay, how can we be more productive, right? So how can we get 2 packets of Doritos corn chips for the one price, right? Oh, well, we can make them cheaper, right? Oh, well, how do we make them cheaper? Oh, well, we can reduce wages or red tape or, you know, that sort of stuff.
Increase
And
production.
that's what they're doing at the moment. They're trying to sit down. I think what they're doing is, you guys are too young, but when Hawke got elected in 83, he said he would have what they created what they call was the Accord. And what they did was Hawke and Keating had a round table, right, and said, we want the business sector and the union sector to come together and work out a roadmap, right? Because you got to remember 10 years, the prior 10 or even 20 years, basically you had inflation from wages going up 5%, business going, okay, well, we're putting the prices up 6%, and the wages and the unions come back going, right, oh, well, if you're putting the prices up 6, I need more wages. So you had this vicious spiral, right? So Hawke got together, and this was after Thatcher in 79 and Reagan in 80. Hawke came in 82 and said, okay, it was a great idea by saying, well, listen, you guys are doing this, you guys want that. Let's sit down and see if we can work something out,
Yeah.
right? And that's essentially what they're trying to do. It's also a model in Germany, right? German have this, I can't remember what they call it now, but German government basically said, righto, we've got industry, we've got workers, and we've got the government. Right, let's all sit down and work out, okay, well, we'll agree to give you 3%, but you guys have got to agree to do this, right? Okay, you guys agree to that? Okay, right. Okay, we got agreements. And that's what Chalmers, I think, is looking for. That's what they're trying to do, right?
It's frustrating because you get Albo that comes out saying there's absolutely no changes to tax, and then Chalmers comes out saying we need to do this, this, and this to tax.
Yeah, but I think look, I could be wrong. I don't know. Albo did say this week he would take some stuff straight through to the Parliament, but that'll be probably the red tape easy stuff.
And just bulldoze it through.
Yeah, he's not going to take into Parliament going, we're going to tax old people 80%. It's like, well, that's not going to
increase GST.
No,
I've seen a lot of posts.
Yeah,
speculating that.
Please no.
The argument is drop income tax and raise GST, but the GST is it's got nothing to do with productivity. And the other thing is the GST is regressive. So, for example, you think if I'm on 100,000, a carton of milk a bottle of milk might be $2, right? But if you're on 300,000, well, a bottle of milk is actually less as a proportion of your money.
The ratio, yeah.
Right? So GST is regressive. The best one is income tax, right? You earn more, you pay more, right? But, of course, rich people don't like paying tax. So that way...
Well, I mean, rich people pay the highest proportion of tax. If you look at it,
I know, but they earn more, Jacob.
You know, I'm not arguing.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But big business don't pay shit.
Well, that's part of the problem with trying to get businesses back on shore. And if you look at the US pharma industry, they pay very little tax, and the reason why is because they're all located in Ireland, right? And they're located in Ireland because because it's a tax haven, right? That's why Apple was in Ireland.
Well, that's the everything kind of goes stuff through. They've got to figure out, because then we're taxing rich people like Tom on $600,000 a year.
Yep, he's struggling.
I know.
So
look at me.
He can only afford Shiraz.
Ragged.
Let's talk about the lessons of the week, because last week was awesome.
Righto.
So what have you got for us this time?
Okay, I set you a little bit of background. Okay, I had a guy on Twitter who posted the Vanguard chart there, right?
Yes.
2024 Vanguard. And what you can see is it starts in about 1995, okay? So he says, this is really great. He writes a newsletter, right, and recommends stocks.
Yes.
He writes and puts that chart up and goes, this is really great. Look at this. Australian shares have made, what is it? 134,000.
Yeah, 9.1%.
9.1, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll bugger legs. I write in there and go, that's bullshit. You know, I was a bit more polite. But I did sort of
Geometric versus, what is it? Okay, the wine's got me.
What is it?
Geometric versus...
Geometric versus average, mate. You're on the right. Jesus. You've got potential, son. You've got potential. So I said to him,
so good.
Listen, mate, you know, that's bullshit because that's the arithmetic average.
That's it,
right?
Arithmetic.
Here's the RBA study which says the geometric 6, right? And you really get 2 after you talk about inflation, right? So he comes back and goes, no, you know, I'd like to see your evidence, right? And this is what I love about people. They make a statement, and then when you go, okay, well, that's not correct, here's the study, then he wants me to do all the work to say, well, hang on, that's garbage. Now, he should know. He's been in the industry for like 20 or 30 years, right? So, anyway, that's a sidetrack. Righto. Point being, I then go, okay, here's the RBA study, right? He then looks at it and then goes, oh, you know, I don't know what Vanguard's methodology is.
All right.
So, in other words, then he starts getting a bit like, oh, well, it's not me, it's Vanguard. And I said, well, hang on, you're promoting the Vanguard stuff and you should know about it. Right, you should know what the methodology is.
So you got into a tit-tat.
So we got into a tit-tat.
Why is this Steve Moriarty guy?
Yeah.
Why won't he let it go?
Yeah.
Okay, so the point being, when you look there, Vanguard says if you had 10,000 in 1995 and you invested it, right,
yes,
in the index, you'd now have what is it, 134?
135.
135G.
Buy and hold.
Buy and hold, right? Fantastic. Now, okay. Let's get a couple of things straight. 10 grand in 1995 is equivalent now to about 30 grand.
Mm.
How many people now at the moment have got 30 grand laying around going, man, I'm just going to throw that lazy 30 into the index, right? There's not that many. As a proportion of wages, it's really, really high. So in other words, 10 grand was a lot for a lot of people.
Well, the median savings in Australia is, I think, 16,000.
Yeah.
The average is like 40, but the median is 16.
And that's what I mean. In 1995, there would have been a small group of people who said 10 grand, yeah, cool. Right? So my point being, if you said to me, $1,000 becomes 13,000, a lot of people would go, Jesus, that's not much. But when you use a big starting figure like 10, you go, oh yeah, 10's not much, because you're thinking in today's terms, not in 95 terms, where you go, if he said, oh, look, if you had 40 grand, you'd be going, oh man, I haven't got 40 grand, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is the one that brings home the bacon.
All right, bring it home. I'm hungry.
Yeah, bring it up.
Right? You ready?
Daddy's hungry.
This is the one that brings home the Doritos, right? Okay. It always depends on where you start out,
Yes.
right? So there's another chart there. My daughter stole the bloody iPad, so I haven't got an iPad. Now, there's a couple of things there. That chart up the top there is showing you that the stock market goes nowhere for a bloody long time, right? So if you bought in 2000, it took you to 2014 to get back to where you bought in 2000.
Yeah.
Righto? Okay, so there's the first point.
The argument is, just before you move on, the argument is an investing career is probably 30 or 40 years.
About, 30 or probably 40 years these days.
If you get in early.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah,
most
yeah,
people
25.
Get in,
right?
some people
25.
get in when they're 40 and then that's it. So if you go nowhere, if you get in now, for example, where the market's really, really expensive, and you go nowhere for 5 to 10 years, that's halfway into a career of investing.
Absolutely. So in 2000, when the Cape was 44, and we have been saying to people, you're going to get bugger all because the Cape is now at 39, and that's goddamn close to 44. Please don't think you're going to get the average return, 9.1, right? You got no bloody chance. Right? So, toggle down to the next page.
There we go.
Okay, now there you go. The S&P, I'm using the S&P, right? The 10-year annualized real rate of return, right, with dividends reinvested, right? So no fun, right? You can't take the divvies. You've got to put them in. Now, look at the bottom green line.
10.17.
But look at the difference between see how the line goes up and down, right?
Yeah.
No, the green one.
Yeah, I'm just
right?
thinking about.
Okay, so what I'm saying there is it depends. What are you talking about? Shut up and have another glass. What I'm saying there is you can't cherry pick dates, right, to make your argument look good. Okay, so let me say to you, imagine I'm like totally bearish and I go, oh man, and stocks are...
What do you mean imagine?
Well, that's true. Good point. Okay, and I say to you, since 2000 you've started out, you've made 4%.
Yeah.
Right? Naturally people would say, well, yeah, but over the longer term you might have made X. Okay, that's fine. I'm turning that argument on its head because what I'm saying is these guys are always in the habit of picking really good starting times or false figures like the arithmetic return. Right? You don't get the arithmetic return. You get the geometric return, which is less. But nobody wants to get, you're not going to sell your services if you go, hey, Tom, I can get you 2%. You go, oh, Jesus, really? But that's generally what you end up with. Right? So if you look at the green line there, what I'm trying to show people is when the market is really cheap, hello Cape, the compound return is really high. When the Cape is really high, i.e. now, the next 10 years or 20 years even is really low, right? So if you look at the 20-year period, the range of returns, right, which means the range of returns is between 20% per year when you start in 1982 with a Cape at 5 or 2% per year when you start at a Cape of 44. So what I'm pointing out there is don't fall for any bullshit that says, oh, this is how much you make on average, right? Because the average is made up of the guy who's 6'7" and the guy who's 5 foot, right? You're not going to be saying, the average is 5'9". Let's go, well, that's no good for a guy who's 5 foot, right? So that's the really, really important point, right? Where you start out, look at the earnings yield because that tells you the compounding rate. Okay? So if you have a look at the final chart, which is the earnings yield of the Aussie market, what you can see is our earning yield is about 3.5.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Just over 4 now.
Bit 4, sorry. Bit over 4. Okay, but it's below the average.
Average is about 6.5.
Right. Now, our cape at the moment is about 20, 21. Right? So we're
Tad over average.
We're overvalued, right? So what I'm saying to people is if you've got to look at the earnings yield, not the starting date. Right? The starting date is only valid when you start investing. Right? That's the point. And the point is saying, as you said, we talked about last week, if you've made a lot of money, then it may be worth reducing your exposure because you may have 11 or 12% compound coming in the future.
Just by being patient for a few years.
Yes.
Or finding an area of the market that's not the S&P, that's something else
Exactly.
that has a better earnings yield.
Well, energy, all right? Energy is insanely cheap, right? And that's what we say, emerging markets are cheap.
Yes.
Right? Well, why wouldn't you go there rather than going to the S&P where the Cape's 39, everybody's drunk at the bar, and then, everybody's throwing money around like a drunken sailor. So it's like, well, hang on.
Well, the difference is you've got there late. They've been there for 10 years.
Yeah. So that's what I want to point out to people is don't get anxiety. And Ella was talking about this in her comment, right? She said, Steve's right. It's really, really hard holding cash, and it is, right? Because everybody, it's like trying to say, I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to go to the bar. Everybody's getting pissed and having a great time, and I'm standing there going, right, okay, this is good, right? It's awful, but the reality is you're going to wake up the next morning going, I feel fine. Where everyone in the bar's going to wake up going, oh man, I've got such a hangover.
Yep.
So that's the point, right? The really important point is when you want to start out when the earnings yield is really high, and the earnings yield ain't really high. Therefore, don't fall for foolish people who tell you that the average is 9.1, right? Because it ain't.
And earnings yield, just remind me, it's 1 divided by the PE ratio, isn't it?
Generally, Tom, yeah. So if the Cape is at 39,
Yep.
what you do is you say, okay, 100 divided by 39, right? It's about 2.2.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to expect to get 2.2. If you expect to get 15, you got rocks in your head, right? Because you ain't going to get 15.
Yeah. But if Cape was 10, you'd
But
go,
if Cape
I'd
was 10,
expect
I'd be
to
going, Tom,
compound
get in
at
there,
10, yeah.
right? Get in there.
Well, you might get 15 over 6 months, and then...
Yes, exactly, Jacob. Exactly.
gone, yeah.
Right? Or even a year or 2 years, right? Because if Howard Marks is right and saying we're at the start of the bubble, there could be another 20 or 30%. But my point, and people say, oh man, you're missing out on the gains. It's like, not if it goes into half price, brother.
Yeah, plus it's not like you have nothing in the market. You're still rebalancing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's always, again, thinking about investing over time, right? That's the really, really critical point. And if you're young, don't just fall for the garbage of, 8% compound per year for 40 years. Oh, look, you'll have $5 million. Sorry, nobody gets there, right? And the reason why is simple, because the figures they give you are bullshit, right? Because they're not the right figures.
Yeah.
Righto, cheers,
More
Pepper
trade
Jack.
secrets. Well, we're going to have to start charging for these podcasts now, aren't we? Because
Yeah, we'll
you're
get
giving
some
everything
words
away.
back into the document.
Yeah, we'll do that for next week. Oh,
Well, as you can see, Ella suggested Doritos, and I'm a man that can be bored.
Ella, can you suggest a Lamborghini or something
Yeah.
for next week so you can buy us one of those?
She might have wanted to see you eating them.
Well, before you close us off, Tom, thank you everyone for leaving comments and most particularly leaving 5 stars on the Spotify on the podcast. It really helps us get out there. If you can do that, it takes 10 seconds. Be a legend for us. All right, until next time.
Cheers, folks.
Cheers.
As always, remember, we don't provide financial advice.